you've been very vocal about electronic voting machines, and I think
Yeah.
people need to know a lot about this. So would you like to
Yeah, well, I'll simplify it. You see, it's a very complex subject. When we had ballot system, we had voter fraud, no doubt. But it was all retail in one constituency, one booth like that. This electronic voting machine is wholesale fraud. In fact, according to my estimate, I am willing to say it here, I've said it in the court, so it's not it's a part of the public record. 90 seats won by Congress party in 2009 was due to electronic voting machine and not due to the public vote that they received. And the way we approved it is prima facie, is to show that in each of these constituencies, when you go polling booth wise analysis, there are about 1/3 of polling booths where a party like the BJP or Telugu Desam or Anna DMK gets 0 vote or 1 vote or 2 vote. That's impossible, because in every polling booth, every political party, even Janata Party has 5 workers in a polling booth, and therefore with their families you have 25 votes. So how is it possible? So anyway, the crux of the matter is that in the High Court, when the Election Commission was opposing my demand for introducing a voter receipt like in the ATM, which the person sees and then tears out the voter receipt and puts it in the ballot box before going out. If you can't do that, let us go back to ballot papers. And today, United States, England, Netherlands, Germany, most of the important nations of Europe, plus Japan, Korea, all use ballot papers for their election. India, Nigeria and Venezuela are the great countries which use electronic voting machines. I don't know whether they are bigger democratic countries than the Americans and the English and the Germans and so on. But anyway, what I was surprised is that the Election Commission claimed that this is a unique machine which cannot be rigged. So I took a couple of friends of mine from Andhra Pradesh, software engineers, and went to the Election Commission to demonstrate. Because the Election Commission invited me saying, you made this public statement, please demonstrate. I went to demonstrate. And they videoed the whole thing. And then my friends, V.V. Rao and Hari Prasad, they both set about working on this, and they started taking the parts apart to show that the rigging, how it can take place. And suddenly the Electronic Voting Machine, Electronic Corporation of India and the Bharat Electronics Limited, who are present there, objected, saying, no, this is a violation of our intellectual property rights. We have patents and this is all violation of that. These people are stealing our model and all that. And they aborted the meeting. They didn't let the meeting go to the point where I could demonstrate that the machines can be rigged. Now, after that, poor Hari Prasad came to Maharashtra and they said, you stole one electronic voting machine from the Election Commission and put him in jail here. So, with the support of Mr. Jagdish Shetty, we were able to get him out ultimately. But he spent quite some time in jail. For what? On a fraudulent charge that he had stolen an electronic voting machine and then later on television showed how it can be rigged. He should be given Bharat Ratna for demonstrating that, not putting him in jail. Now the final thing is, I wrote a letter to the WTO, because I was Commerce Minister. I was the one who signed the first document on creating of the WTO. So I have lots of friends there. I wrote to them, the World Intellectual Property Organization based in Paris. Does the Election Commission have patent for this electronic voting machine? And reply came that yes, the Election Commission had applied for patent. Then we asked for some clarification. They could not give the clarification. So we wrote to them that this machine is unworthy of being patented. So please withdraw your application. And they withdrew the application. So that was lie number one. Lie number two is that this is an indigenous machine. The most important part of electronic voting machine is the microcontroller which controls the distribution of votes as you press the buttons. And that's the important thing. That is produced by a Japanese company, not by an Indian company. Not produced by ECIL or BEL. It's produced by a Japanese company. I located the Japanese company and asked them that this microcontroller you produce, do you use it in your electronic voting machine in Japan? He said, are you mad? We have ballot papers. We don't use electronic voting machine. So the Japanese company which is selling us a microcontroller is not able to use it in its own country. They use it in Venezuela, Nigeria and India. Three musketeers of Indian world democracy. Now, therefore, the High Court said, the High Court didn't want to go too far because there was an election going on. There would have been so they said, we accept Dr. Swami's view that the electronic voting machine is tamperable. And therefore, the Election Commission should now enter into a full-fledged discussion with all stakeholders and come to a conclusion what should be done. The Election Commission has given an assurance that they will introduce voter receipts. If they don't do it in the next 3-4 months, then I'll go back to the court and say, please supervise this. If tomorrow in the UP elections, if the Congress party gets more than 25 seats, then it is the microcontroller which has won.
Dr. Swami,
became applicants for spectrum license. Raja manipulated with Chidambaram for them to get the license by using some first come first serve, all that. Raja also said, along with Chidambaram, both have signed, that the price which will be charged for the spectrum will be 2001 price. When the price in 2008 when the license was given was 10 times that. Because in 2001 how many mobile phones we had? 4 crores. How many mobile phones we have in 2008? 70 crores. So there is a very profitable market. So therefore people are ready to pay more. They were ready to pay 10 times more. But Chidambaram and Raja decided that only this 2001 price will be charged. So these two companies bought 2001 price. Then what did they do? They said, we don't have telecom towers, we don't have anything. So let's sell the license. So they sold it to Etisalat. Swan sold it to Etisalat in Dubai. And Unitech, another real estate company, sold it to Telenor. But there is a Home Ministry advisory that Etisalat is an ISI front company. And its India managing director, Shahid Balwas, who is now in jail. He is Dawood Ibrahim's man. So therefore it will help Pakistani agents to come to India in the name of building towers. Can't allow it. So, similarly Telenor, they say they buy equipment from Chinese military and that equipment can be also used for cyber warfare. And if there is a fight between India and China, all our computers will go top. So therefore we have a situation where national security is being sacrificed. Of course, Etisalat and Telenor paid these two companies 8 times what they paid the government of India. And therefore the loss is estimated at 1,76,000 crores, which has 11 zeros. So many zeros nobody has ever seen before. And out of that, 60,000 crores was paid by bribe, of which Raja got only 5,000 crores. Chidambaram got another 5,000 crores. The remaining 50,000, Sonia Gandhi and her sister got 36,000 crores. And 15,000 crores went to Karunanidhi. 60% of 60,000 crores is 36,000 crores. went to Sonia Gandhi. So Raja, of course, got only 5,000, but 5,000 crores is not a joke, no. In fact, Raja used to come to DMK headquarters in Chennai 15 years ago on a cycle. Now, of course, now he's in jail, so it's but when he was minister and had got all this bribe, his clothes had changed, they were all brought from Paris and all that. And he was going around in BMWs and buying houses left and right. So, this corruption was done because they were agreeing, they manipulated to give to two unqualified companies. Those two unqualified companies sold to foreign companies whom the Home Ministry said that these two companies should not be allowed into India. And yet Chidambaram told Raja, no, you can't do it. Because Chidambaram was going to get 5,000 crores also. So national security is being sacrificed. I have filed a petition in Supreme Court saying cancel all the licenses. Court heard me and they have reserved judgment. Now court is again assembling on 6th on my case. I don't know whether they'll give the judgment or not. But now Raja is in, Kanimuri is in, lots of business executives are in. Soon Chidambaram will also go in. Then if Raja is in, then Rani must also go. So there is a Rani in Delhi who has to go. So sooner or later we'll get her also. But we have to get her, otherwise look at this. There is total breakdown today. There is no patriotism left. We are being taken over by foreigners, foreign companies, because some politicians want a bribe. It's not anymore my giving money to another politician and politician wanting it for elections. It is now, anything can go in Tamil Nadu election. Much of the money that was given by Arigiri in Madurai were ISI printed notes. They were not. How anyone is going to be able to detect it? Supposing tomorrow I give you a 1,000 rupee note, how will you be able to know whether it is printed by ISI or printed by our government mint? Because Chidambaram there also has done corruption. Like he's done now in CWG. Manishakar Iyer has made that accusation today. Because what happens is that we are not able to produce the currency paper. And we buy it from England. From a company called De La Rue. And that company which sells us the currency paper with the watermark and all that, that same company sells to Pakistan also. So it's very easy for Pakistan to buy some extra currency paper and then print Indian notes and through Nepal bring it into India. So that's why ISI today, I would say 30% of our money, 13% of our money supply is today from ISI printed notes. We have lost control of our money supply also.